reflect those of station staff, management, and advertisers.
What's up, everybody? Happy Friday. Yeah, it is Pushing the Limits. Thank you so much for being here. Part of the Occupy Democrats Network, the Washington Press Network, of course. My personal YouTube page, ever so growing, might I add, which is at PTL Radio Show. And, of course, we're on TikTok and Twitch, and we are everywhere, and we appreciate you guys, the PTL family, joining us. We're going to have a great holiday weekend. Well, hopefully I will. I don't know about you guys, but we will be off on Monday, and we'll be back at it on Tuesday. And hopefully everybody out there is going to have a great weekend. We hope so. A lot to get to, including dissecting the Robert F. Kennedy Jr. interview with Caitlin Collins on CNN yesterday. We're certainly going to get into that. And, of course, this whole crypto scandal, as I would call it, in this dinner that Donald Trump had last night. So I said to myself, why don't we just get right into it with somebody that I have a lot of respect for, love his commentary. He's been doing my show for years. He's a former presidential candidate, a former congressman, of course, out of Chicago. My friend Joe Walsh joining us right now on the line. Joe, always a pleasure, my friend. How are you?
Brian, love you, brother. Good to be with you.
Good to see you, Joe. Thanks for coming on. First question, what do you make of this Donald Trump dinner last night where the White House isn't releasing any information? They're not even telling everybody, the people that are on the list at this dinner. What do you make of this?
I don't know the first thing about crypto. I don't know what crypto is. And so that's my joke. The serious thing is Trump doesn't give a damn. Trump believes he's untouchable. He can do whatever he wants, and he will never pay a price for it. So line up what happened last night with everything else he's doing. He can take a $400 million plane from Qatar. He can do whatever he wants.
What do you,
Brian?
Yeah.
I was just going to say, don't get mad at me, but he tried to overthrow an American election 4 years and 4 months ago, and he never paid a price for that. So if I were Trump, I think I can be as corrupt as I want.
You're right. I don't disagree with you. What do you make of the fact that Caroline Leavitt's excuse is, oh, you know what? This is his private time, so he can do this. Yet they still talk about Burisma and Hunter Biden selling paintings. But if Donald Trump has a dinner like this, oh, well, this is his private time. That was their excuse. What do you make of that?
Private time, and we saw video of the event last night with the podium with the presidential seal right there with Donald Trump. Not private time, presidential time. Look, easy answer. To work for Trump is to lie for Trump, period.
Yeah.
This Caroline Leavitt does that very well.
You're absolutely right about that. Joe, did you have an opportunity to watch Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s interview yesterday with Caitlin Collins on CNN where he says, people shouldn't listen to people like me. They should listen to doctors. Meanwhile, this is the guy that's been telling people what to do as far as vaccines and everything else goes. For years now, he's been telling people not to take vaccines, and he's been anti-vaccine. But now all of a sudden he says, well, I'm not a doctor, so don't listen to me. What do you make of that?
Not a surprise. And again, not a surprise at all that Trump would hire unserious people like this. Brian, it reminds me of, I read yesterday, the guy that Trump appointed to run the Social Security Administration admitted under oath yesterday he had to Google what the job was. Google it. He didn't know what the job was. This is Trump and his cabinet.
Joe, what's going on with Harvard and what the Trump administration is doing? To me, they always talk about freedom of speech, and what they are doing with this university and what they're doing with some of these students coming into this country here. I just think it's absolutely despicable, and it feels like we don't have freedom of speech anymore. What do you make about this situation with what they are doing in the Trump administration to Harvard?
This is fascism. This is fascism. Kristi Noem, what a goofball she is. I served with her in Congress. She said yesterday, let this be a warning to every other college and university in America. You better fall in line or we're coming after you. This is fascism. America, folks. Brian, again, the beauty of Trump, and I've said this to you before, the beauty of Trump is that because he's so bad and so lawless and so corrupt and so dishonest and so ignorant and so cruel and so stupid, He's forcing us in real time to decide what kind of country we want to be. Do we want to be the kind of country that penalizes students in this country for their speech? Do we want to be the kind of country that disappears innocent people off of our streets? Trump's doing it. The beauty of it is we have to decide.
And a federal judge, as you know, Joe, granted Harvard's restraining order against the Trump administration.
Yeah.
Is the Trump administration just going to defy this? I mean, this is going to get ugly. How do you see this thing playing out?
I expect the Trump administration to try to do whatever they can to get around every court ruling and to, yes, literally defy court rulings and to, yes, literally defy the Supreme Court. And then what? And then what? That's the question everybody asks. And you know what, Brian? We're not quite clear what that answer is yet because we've never had something like this in the White House.
And you have all these things going on and all these controversies. And what does Donald Trump, Joe, decide to do today? He leaves the White House early and he's headed to his Trump National Golf Club in New Jersey, where, of course, taxpayers will be paying for another golf trip. He's going to be spending the entire weekend there. And I guess he's going to be working on the golf course again, Joe. You remember back in the
Brian,
yeah.
After, you're right, Trump went to the golf course all weekend after he once again this morning lit the American economy on fire. He took a match to our economy. He took a match to our markets this morning by, coming out and basically telling Apple, you do this. Here's what I want you to do. Here's how I want you to run your private business, or else you're looking at a 25% tariff. Hey, Europe, I'm going to put 50% tariffs on you. Away he goes. The markets crash. Small businessmen and women in this country don't know what the hell to do. And you're right. He's playing golf all weekend.
Two more quick questions for you, Joe. I always appreciate it when you're on CNN, and I know you have a lot of friends there, so I'm not asking you to badmouth anybody there, and I've always had respect for Jake Tapper, as I'm sure you have as well. However, I think this book is a disgrace. I think what they're doing is a disgrace. When I say they, I mean the people that are involved with this book. All these anonymous sources, you're hearing them interview Jake Tapper on all these different shows on CNN, and I think it's a money grab, Joe. That's what I think it is, and I think it's despicable. And, I don't want to put you in a peculiar situation because I know you're on there a lot and you have friends there, but I don't like this, and I don't like what they're doing, and I'm just curious to get your thoughts on this.
Well, I will never run away from a tough question, and so, Brian, I don't at all mind the question. I like Jake Tapper. We're friends. I'll say this. I have a real problem with people who write books after the fact, whether you work in an administration or you're in the media. I have no problem with Jake Tapper and his co-author writing this book. I think it's an important book. And I also think in Jake's defense, Brian, and again, that's why I love to talk to you, because you and I can respectfully disagree.
Sure.
In Tapper's defense, I know he and a lot of people in the media sensed the last couple of years that things, weren't super right with Biden. And I know a lot of Democrats felt the same way as well. And I think everybody was kind of afraid to address it. The biggest threat in this country is that madman back in the White House. And, Brian, you and I may disagree, but I blame Joe Biden and the people around Biden a hell of a lot for that madman back in the White House. Biden should have been a one-termer, and he should have been the bridge.
Yep.
And, I believe in openness and transparency more than anything. Donald Trump is the least transparent guy ever. But when Democrats and Biden did that, it told voters like, oh, they're all the same. And that makes me sad.
Don't disagree with you. A lot of criticism for Joe Biden for not stepping down sooner. And I completely agree with what you just said. Last question.
You just don't like the books coming out now.
I just think all these anonymous sources, and we're talking about Joe.
Yeah.
It's just like all the anonymous sources, Joe, and the fact that they keep trying to sell the book because it's about money. Let's just call it for what it is. It's about money, and it shouldn't always be about money. And I'm not saying everybody that's selling a book and promoting a book, it's only about money. But I just feel like all these anonymous sources, we know Joe Biden was getting old. Everybody knows that. It doesn't mean that the guy was dying before our eyes and he still couldn't do his job. That's the problem that I have with it. But last question. You do this for a living now. You are officially a member of the media, and you've been doing this for years now. Does this get to you? Yeah, exactly. I feel the same way. Does it get to you mentally? And I'm wondering, Joe, how do you deal with this with your podcast and your social media content? And you do such a great job in your TV appearances. Do you struggle with this at times mentally, having to deal with this administration every single day? And it's like, what's next? How do you deal with that, Joe?
It's exhausted. It's exhausting, Brian. By the end of every week, I'm dead, almost literally. In weeks like this, I go to bed every night exhausted because guys like you and I, we take this personal. We love this country, and this is a madman in the White House right now trying to destroy this country. And if you care about it, and you really, really care about it, I don't know how it can't be something that doesn't destroy your life, but I feel obligated to fight it. And when you fight it, you're really giving up a lot. You're giving up a lot of your mental and physical health.
Yeah.
So yeah, it scares the hell out of me.
Yeah, I'm with you there, Joe. I love you, pal. Hey, have a great holiday weekend if I don't talk to you, and we'll catch up with you soon, my friend. Okay, you take care. I appreciate your time as always.
Thanks, Brian.
All right, there you go, everybody. Joe Walsh. Love Joe. He's the best. He's been doing my show for years, and always honest and sincere with what he says, and I don't always agree with him, but he's certainly on the right side of history now, and there he is, ladies and gentlemen, Joe Walsh. Hey, I hope he runs for president again, whether it be a Republican, which it wouldn't be, or maybe even a Democrat, but I do love Joe, and we appreciate him taking the time to join us. So there's a national agenda going on, and there's tons of controversy within the Donald Trump administration. I think all of us could probably agree with that. So what does Donald Trump decide to do when, he starts these fires all over the country and, quite frankly, all over the world? Well, according to the White House press pool daily guidance and media schedule for today, Donald Trump only has one official event, and he has a closed press signing of executive orders before he heads out of Washington today. Now, Trump has left the White House officially, and he is headed to Trump National Golf Club in Bedminster, New Jersey, where he's expected to spend the entire weekend playing golf at one of his own properties at the taxpayer's expense. If that doesn't drive you guys crazy, I don't know what does. He's spending our tax dollars at one of his golf courses playing golf all weekend. Absolutely and positively despicable. Now, I don't know if you guys had an opportunity to listen or watch the Robert F. Kennedy Jr. interview with Caitlin Collins on CNN last night. I've been very opinionated and honest about what I think of Robert F. Kennedy Jr., what I think about the person that has lived his life in Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And for those of you that don't know, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has done this show before. I think he's a despicable human being. I think he's a disgrace. I think he's a very bad and unfaithful man based on the fact that what we know of his ex-wife who committed suicide after reading his diary of infidelity. This is a lunatic. Why do I say lunatic? Not just because he's a serial cheater, beheading whales, staging bear murders in Central Park, and his conspiracy theories about vaccines and medicine. Over and over, I've said he's a really bad guy. He's not honest, and he just wants to be in power, and he has a tremendous ego, and he's lived off his last name for his entire life. So Caitlin Collins interviewed Robert F. Kennedy Jr. yesterday. And keep in mind that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has been trying to tell us what he thinks we should do with our bodies. He's been trying to give us medical opinions, many of which are conspiracy theories. And now all of a sudden he's telling us, well, don't listen to me. Listen to the real doctors. Have a listen to this.
And what President Biden did wrong. What I'm saying to you.
But I want to get back to what your comment was about that you said that people should not take your medical advice.
Yeah,
That's your position?
Yeah, absolutely. People should not be taking medical advice. I'm somebody who is not a physician, but they should also be skeptical about any medical advice. They need to do their own research. You're a mom. If you're a mom, you do your own research on your baby carriage, on your baby bottles, on your baby formula.
But they don't have medical degrees, obviously. If you're a mom and you're looking at what science has been tested, they trust their doctors and their pediatricians.
One of the responsibilities of living in a democracy where physicians and every sort of expert are subject to all kinds of biases. One of the responsibilities of living in a democracy is to do your own research and to make up your own mind.
So that's your message to moms or to anyone, is to do your own research.
I would say be skeptical of authority. My father told me that when I was a young kid. People in authority lie. And we've seen a lot of that in our country. And people in the media lie. And people need to make their own judgments and be skeptical and maintain their capacity for critical thinking. And that was shut down during COVID. And the media was complicit in that.
Disagree on that last part. Secretary Kennedy, thank you for your time.
Good to meet you.
Yeah, there you go. That was the end of the interview where Robert F. Kennedy Jr. finally admits that, well, people should listen to those with medical degrees, and maybe they shouldn't listen to somebody like me. Then why does he keep giving out medical opinions and giving people medical advice when he's telling people at the end of this interview, maybe you shouldn't listen to people like me? Don't you guys have a problem with that? I certainly do. And then it goes into the situation where Caitlin Collins asked him about, trusting the science, right? Because we've heard MAGA Republicans complain, oh, you guys keep saying trust the science, do your own research. And then the kooks listen to people like, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. speak. But now Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is saying, well, we should listen to the science. It's a very confusing message to what we've heard over the course of the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years from people like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Listen to this.
Trusting the experts is not a feature of science. It's not a feature of democracy. It's a feature of religion and totalitarianism. What we should do is trust the science. And we are going to do the science, and the science is going to be replicable, and it's going to be gold standard so that parents can make their own choices about what is best for their family and their health.
But I think people, the message was to trust the science and what studies were finding and what
during
people were
COVID,
doing.
that was a bad message. It was trust the experts. That's what you kept telling us. Trust the experts.
I don't know that I ever said that.
Well,
I mean, we talked to the officials. Actually,
your network
during COVID,
was saying it every day.
we took the briefings live every day with all of the experts that President Trump. Those are President Trump's doctors. But those are the people President Trump brought out to the briefings.
Well, President Trump brought, and I can.
He brought Dr. Fauci and Dr.
Verse, I can tell you what President Trump did right and what President Biden did wrong.
Notice how he won't talk about what Donald Trump did wrong and what Joe Biden did right. It's such a joke. And listen to what Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is saying. He's saying we shouldn't listen to the experts. We should listen to the science. Do you think the experts just form their opinions with nothing science backed? It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. This guy is a complete imbecile. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is a complete imbecile, conspiracy theorist, nut job, who has been wearing a tinfoil hat his entire life. So on one side, he says, don't listen to the experts. On the other side, he says, listen to the science. If there's anybody that hasn't listened to the science, it's Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who has been an anti-vaccine idiot his entire life. And here's another interesting note, if you didn't think that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was a complete imbecile already. So Caitlin Collins says, why did you replicate studies that have already been done? That's exactly what Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is doing as the head of Health and Human Services. He's literally doing the same thing. He's replicating studies. Why is he doing that? Listen to this ridiculous answer, and the question is very relevant.
We will have some studies completed by September. And those studies will mainly be replication studies of studies that have already been done. We're also deploying new teams of scientists, 15 groups of scientists. We're going to send those grants out to bid within 3 weeks.
Why would you replicate studies that have been done?
Because the only way you can get good science is through replication. If you don't have replication, you don't know whether other scientists looking at the same data will arrive at the same conclusion. Good science always includes replication. In fact, we're changing the procedures at NIH so that up to 20% of the funding at NIH is for replication. If you don't have replication, you have incentives to cheat. And there's a lot of cheating that goes on in science.
Is there anybody that listens to this guy speak, anybody at all, that thinks he has any bit of credibility? Anybody at all? Like, I'm not trying to gaslight here. Every single word that this guy says is absolutely and positively insane. First of all, you don't just replicate every study. If a study is done correctly, what's the reason for replicating it 6 months or a year later? Give me the actual reason on why you would do that. It makes absolutely no sense. You say we shouldn't trust the experts, we should trust the science, when actual real infectious disease experts and actual real experts in the field of medicine, where do you think they get their information from? Off the top of their head? Of course, much of it is science-based. So talk about a double entendre there. It makes absolutely no sense. But he's telling you, don't listen to him for medical advice. Then why don't you shut up then? Why are you even doing these interviews? Because all you do is try to give people medical advice of what we should or shouldn't eat. You try to give people advice on what vaccines can or can't do. You try to give people advice on how they should live their lives. And this is the same guy who stages bear murders in Central Park, the guy that beheads whales, who's never been faithful to one woman he's ever had in his life. And I'm supposed to listen to Robert F. Kennedy Jr. tell me what I should do with my body? Are you effing kidding me? He is right about one thing. You should listen to actual people with medical degrees that have actual degrees and expertise in their field, and don't listen to some moron who's lived off the last name his entire life, who is a despicable human being. Speaking of despicable, as I mentioned to start the show today, a judge has temporarily blocked Trump's plan to stop Harvard enrolling foreign students. The ruling came after Harvard, if you haven't heard of this story, filed a lawsuit in the latest escalation of a dispute between the White House and one of America's most prestigious institutions. Now, the Trump administration is claiming that Harvard has not done enough to fight anti-Semitism and change its hiring and admissions practices, allegations that the university has strongly denied. Now, let me be very clear on this. As someone who I think would have a strong opinion on anti-Semitism, obviously, anti-Semitism should never be tolerated anywhere. Hate should never be tolerated anywhere. But the problem is the Trump administration conflates free speech and infringements on your First Amendment rights. If somebody calls themselves pro-Palestine and they consider Israel to be committing genocide, they have the right to say that. Now, obviously, if you're going to put up a sign that says, I hate all Jews, or we want to exterminate everybody in Israel, obviously a college should get involved there, and there should be no place for that on a university. I understand that. But if you're on a public sidewalk and a public entity, you do have the right to do that. What the Trump administration is doing, then they are infringing on people's First Amendment rights. And that's exactly what they are doing with Harvard. Now, the interesting part about this is U.S. District Judge Allison Burroughs, and it's just a matter of time now in 3-2-1 before the Trump administration decides to attack her and her family. She put a temporary restraining order in a short ruling that was issued earlier this morning. It pauses the move that the Department of Homeland Security made on Thursday to revoke Harvard's access to the Student Exchange Visitor Program. Now, if you listen to right-wing buffoons out there like Randy Fine, who is a complete imbecile, he is defending, of course, what the Donald Trump administration is doing. Have a listen to what Randy Fine had to say about what the Trump administration is trying to do to Harvard.
What do you make of this move against Harvard?
Well, I also went to Harvard, and I can tell you 35 years ago when I was there, you saw a lot of this stuff, but I never felt unsafe as a Jewish student being there. That's what's different today. And if I were to make any encouragement to President Trump and Secretary Noem, it would be do this everywhere. We should not be bringing people into America to get an education who hate us. They should be coming here to get an education, and frankly, they should keep their mouths shut beyond that. I don't go into someone else's house and complain about it when I'm there. They're guests in our country, and they should realize that. And there's a real problem with folks not understanding that.
Well said. Congressman Randy Fine, thanks very much for being with us.
Yeah, very well said, Randy Fine. Very, very well said. Randy Fine, just like any MAGA morons out there, will do and say anything and curl themselves into a pretzel to defend Donald Trump, know how egregious it is that they are doing. And this is against our First Amendment rights. Let's call it for what it is. If you say something that is anti-Israel on a college campus, they're going to punish you for that. They might deport you and send you to an El Salvador prison for 20 years. Is that okay with anybody? So they're infringing on our First Amendment rights. They're not giving people due process. We know that for a fact. Marco Rubio is a coward. He's defending what Donald Trump and Stephen Miller and Tom Homan want to do. So I have no respect for him. You have Cory Booker, who somehow is voting for Jared Kushner's father. I will never defend Cory Booker again. He can do a one-year filibuster, and it wouldn't matter to me anymore. I will never defend Cory Booker ever again. I believe that's corruption. I don't believe Cory Booker just said, hey, you know what? I'm going to vote for this guy because I think he's a great guy. No, I think it's corruption. You have all this stuff going on across the country, and Donald Trump has decided to play golf over the weekend at one of his own golf clubs in Bedminster, New Jersey. Go figure, right? So we're going to take some phone calls on the other side of the break. That number is 702-221-7283. And again, the number, if you want to be a part of the conversation, 702-221-7283. We're going to do a little role reversal in hour number 2. That's right. The very funny and talented and beautiful Nicole Mitchell is going to be interviewing me. You're not going to want to miss that. I said she could ask me anything she wants. But we are talking about a lot of serious topics today. Of course, we're talking about, and I spoke with Joe Walsh about this in the first segment, we're talking about Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Now, all of a sudden, he says, well, people shouldn't take my medical advice. Well, it's a little bit too late because you're the head of Health and Human Services. Would have been nice if he had actually said that under oath. So we're talking a little bit about that. We're talking about how now the Trump administration is going after Harvard. And it got to a point now where a judge had to temporarily block what the Trump administration is trying to do in enrolling foreign students who apparently must all be pro-Israel. Otherwise, they can't enroll at Harvard. Absolutely ridiculous. So we're talking about that as well. And on a Friday, on a Memorial Day weekend, where we certainly should be thinking about our brave men and women who served, who are all heroes as far as I'm concerned, who Donald Trump called suckers and losers. Donald Trump, of course, saying he didn't respect John McCain because he was captured. Oh, yeah, that's right. The orange orangutan also dodged the military multiple times. What does he decide to do? He decides to play golf at one of his golf courses, again, enriching his own company that owns the golf course, putting money in his own pocket. The same reason why he had dinner last night with all these donors to his meme crypto scandal. But the White House doesn't want to talk about that, and their excuses, well, that was his private time. So the number to call, 702-221-7283. And again, that number, if you want to be a part of the conversation, taking phone calls now at 702-221-7283. We will get to the YouTube Super Chat when we come back, and we will be taking your phone calls when we come back. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and food. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
Have you ever dreamed of having your own radio show or a podcast, but just didn't think it was possible? Well, dreams can come true. Radio U. Radio U is a 5-day course that'll teach you how to acquire your dream show. We'll teach you how to host, how to write commercial, how to interview, how to market, how to write a contract, and most importantly, how to monetize your dream radio show. You'll learn from some of the best in the business with over 75 years in broadcast experience. You'll learn from people like me. And the best part? Every single student will be live on the radio as part of the class. Plus, one student from each class will get their very own radio show. You'll be live on the air right here in Las Vegas. Radio U. The 5-day course is being offered at $699. For more information, give Radio U a call. 702-763-5024. That's 702-763-5024. Or check them out at RadioYou101.com.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Friday. Getting ready for a holiday weekend. Hope everyone's going to be doing some barbecuing out there. I know I will. A fun weekend, a lot of different events planned, at least for myself, on a personal level. And, obviously we have to remember those who served this country and never forget those who paid the ultimate price, which I try to do every day, by the way. I really try to do every day, and I talk about this every day. I talk about the fact that, it doesn't matter what your political affiliation is. I'm not a Ron DeSantis fan. I'm not a J.D. Vance fan, but I will never attack their military service. Unfortunately, there are some people in Washington, D.C., like the commander-in-chief, who does. He did it with Colin Powell. He did it with John McCain after John McCain passed away. He's also the same guy who dodged the military multiple times. And yes, I do believe 4-star General Kelly, when he says that Donald Trump used the term suckers and losers. Yes, I do believe him over Donald Trump. Oh, well, we don't believe General Kelly. We believe Donald Trump. Okay, well, if you want to wear the blinders and you think Donald Trump is the credible one in that situation, then you can go right ahead and do so. Number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation, by the way, is 702-221-7283. Before we do that, let's go to the YouTube Super Chat, if I may. And again, the number to call, 702-221-7283. Reaver, let's go to Reaver first. Reaver says, Trump's playing golf and using photos from the wrong country as evidence of white genocide. Meanwhile, tornado victims are left abandoned without FEMA. So that's a very true statement by Reaver right there. But, this isn't anything new. In the Donald Trump administration, this is nothing new because this is what Donald Trump does on a regular basis. When things get heated or controversy lurks, Donald Trump decides to play golf. Thank you to Dr. Darcy Merritt. She is awesome. She says, have a great weekend, PTL. Be safe. Headed off to the grid to the woods. A detox from the Trump felon nightmare. Dr. Darcy, I wish I was out there with you because, quite frankly, I need one of those detoxes as well. But I'm very jealous, Darcy, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Thank you very much. All right, anybody else in the YouTube Super Chat, feel free. Your questions and comments will be read live on the air. Let's start off with Oscar. Oscar is first off on PTL. Hey, Oscar, what's going on?
Hello, how you doing, my friend?
Good.
Listen, I started watching your show, and I want to congratulate you. I'm an immigrant, and I want to congratulate you for what you do for everybody, not just for the Americans, but for everybody.
Thank you, Oscar.
And recently I was going to the White House to deliver. I live in Washington, D.C. area, and ever since Donald Trump got in the House, they blocked me. They blocked me from going in there. They blocked me from going into the Walter Reed and deliver and do a job. I haven't done anything. I mean, I have a record, but it's misdemeanors. They're not deportable. They're not supposed to deport me. The Department of Homeland Security gave me a pardon. They gave me a pardon, and now the White House they're trying to say that I'm on the list for pickup.
Okay, hold on. Let's start from the beginning here. Are you documented or undocumented?
No, I'm documented. I'm on the TPS under the U visa.
Right. No,
I was a victim of a violent crime. Before I was under regular TPS.
I'm so sorry, sir, to hear that you went through that. You sound like a really nice man. Okay, so you mean to tell me that you have only misdemeanors, no violent crimes, and you're saying...
Yeah, no. Yeah. On top of that, on top of that, I got a pardon from DHS. I paid $1,000 for a pardon from DHS. It was accepted. They sent me my documents.
And they're trying to deport you. And the Trump administration is trying to deport you. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Let me ask you, and I'm sorry you're going through that, sir. That's horrible. I hope it works out okay for you. I wish I could give you a better opinion, but why do
I got in hold of Senator Van Hollen. He's going to help me out.
Good.
You know?
Do you think it has something to do with the color of your skin? Why Donald Trump and his administration are trying to do this to you?
He's anti-immigrant. And I don't know why these dumb Cubans went and supported him. You know what I'm saying? One of my best friends is a gay. He's in the closet, and he went and voted for him. His brother is openly gay. He went and voted for him. I'm not gay, But, we had a really good relationship. I wasn't trying to be no homophobic or anything.
Right.
And I wonder why did he went and did it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And we're not even in the talking point. I cut him out of my life. You know what I'm saying?
Do you have a family here, sir?
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about your family?
My family, some of them, they are born here. They were born here. Some of my nieces, they have kids born and raised here. And most of us, we have legal status through TPS. Before I was on TPS, but I was getting a hard time renewing my papers. It will always show up later, and I was losing good jobs.
Right, and your family and your family needs you here. So I have to ask you this: Are you afraid?
Yeah, no,
are you afraid and scared that not only you're going to be deported, but you could end up like a Mr. Garcia from Maryland, where they can deport you to a high maximum security prison? Because I'd be frightened. Are you?
Yeah,
frightened?
actually, I'm from Honduras, next country. But they can do it. And, Bukele, I told hired of Bukele, the president. Bukele, he's not a dictator. He did good on securing the country, right?
Right.
But now he's kissing Donald Trump's ass, and money can buy anything. He's seeing for every person that he's holding over there, illegally or legally, he's getting money. He's just looking at dollar signs. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He's not taking care. So that's why, I called the other day the show where he was on, and I told him, don't be so much of a ass kissing and a bootlicker. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I got the pleasure to let that out of me. You know what I mean?
Well, listen, here's what I would ask from you. And first of all, and most importantly, I wish you the best, and I hope you're not deported. I shouldn't say most normal Americans want people like you in this country. I don't want you to be separated from your families, I want you to give me an update. If anything happens, what changes. I hope you're here to stay. But please call us back and give us an update on everything.
See, I could have married my ex-fiance, but I didn't want to do it because I wasn't ready. But her father just passed away last week.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
And he told me to marry his daughter, so I wouldn't have to go through nothing like this. You know what I mean? But I wanted the government to give it to me. You know what I'm saying?
Right. No, I totally understand. Please keep us updated, my friend. I wish you the best. You shouldn't have to marry your ex-fiance to stay into this country. That is for sure. And I 100% wish you the best, my friend. I really do. And I really do. I'm honored that you listen to the show. And please give us an update when you can. 702-221-7283. Let's go to G. G is next up on PTL. Hey, G, what's going on?
Hi, how are you?
Hey.
Okay, so I just have a few comments.
Sure.
I called you last week, but I think earlier this week, was it? Yeah. But anyways, so speaking about what's going on with Harvard University, one of the reasons that they don't want foreigners to get to our country is because they are very, very smart, and they don't want to deal with BS. And the other thing is, as myself, like I mentioned on Wednesday when I called you, I told you that I was born overseas, and I've been through a lot of things. And I have dealt with dictatorship, witnessed a lot of wars and things like that.
Sure.
So for a person who lived somewhere else other than here, I can tell the difference, and I can see a lot of things that people who've never been overseas, like, people who were born here, but they never traveled, they never seen the other side of the world and what exactly going on. So whatever information they have, they always receive it from the media. They never interact with people in other places or countries, so they don't know what's going on. But people like me, they have a lot of information, and they know what's the deal. So,
you know what the problem is, though? There's a lot of people that, they don't have a good lawyer. They don't know what their rights are. It's kind of like when someone gets pulled over by a cop. I'm always going to comply. I always tell people to comply. Do what the officer tells you to do. But you also need to know your rights. For example, a police officer can't just tell you to get out of the car. They got to tell you why, what's going on, right? You don't even have to roll down your entire window if that makes you uncomfortable. You just have to roll down a little bit of your window so that you can give them your license and registration if it's just a traffic ticket stop. A lot of people feel uncomfortable rolling their entire window down because they're afraid of police. Now, listen, I wish everybody didn't feel that way, but you have to know your rights. If you're at a DUI checkpoint, for example, and they ask you questions, you don't have to answer one question. Now, listen. If I'm stopped at a DUI, I don't drink to begin with, hardly ever, and I would never drink and drive. Obviously, I answer all their questions because I appreciate what they're doing. But, you know, there's an interview if you want to voluntarily, which I do, and you don't have to. I think that's there. So why am I making those correlations? There are certain things, whether you're documented or not, that you don't have to do. And sadly, there's a lot of people that are not educated on what their rights are in this country. Now, again, that's a whole nother ballgame when we talk about the rights of people in this country, whether you're documented or not. Trump is infringing on those rights. We know Trump is infringing on those rights because there's people in this country that are not getting due process. So that's another conversation. But yes, people need to be educated. I don't care whether you're legal or not.
That's right.
You have to be educated. And when I say educated, I'm not meaning college degree or a GED or any of that stuff. I mean educated on what your rights are as a human being.
Yeah, that's the truth. And that's why they are playing, like, you know, with people's lives. Because, like, in my opinion, whatever Trump is doing right now, I always say, like, because I'm very active, like, on Facebook. So I always post political stuff.
Right.
So I always, in my opinion, he is the new Jim Jones, if you know who Jim Jones is.
I do. Listen,
that's exactly,
you're right. He's a wannabe.
It's the same thing.
Listen, he's a wannabe dictator. He's running an oligarchy. We know that. So I could totally understand why you would say that. He is a mob boss with the mob mentality, above the law, and the conservatives on the Supreme Court have given him immunity to almost do whatever the hell he wants to do. And then if they rule against him, again, he defies the Supreme Court. So I'm with you, and I appreciate you, my dear. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. Let's go to Zero. Zero is next up on PTL. What's up, Zero?
Hey, Zero, good to... sorry, bro, I can't call my...
You can call me One. You're Zero. You can call me One. Go right ahead.
Okay. All right, well, after my last talk with you, I did some research into some stuff, and I found out Trump did something that really made me sick to my damn stomach.
What's that? He took off his shirt?
I wish.
No.
He cut funding to autism research, and I'm on the spectrum. And I looked into it, and I even had my dad explain some stuff to me because some stuff I didn't understand.
Right.
And apparently, RFK wants to put people that are on the spectrum on a registry, basically. And I'm thinking, isn't that what they did during World War II?
Yeah, that's what they do with pedophiles. You know, it's absolutely ridiculous. First of all, why do they have to be on a registry? You know, we need to treat everybody with respect, no matter who you are, especially if you're not someone that has broken the law. I mean, the reason why you put these people that have once perhaps sadly molested children or that are pedophiles, the reason why we put them on a registry is because most parents don't want their kids around people like that. And they want to know who they are and where they are because they don't want to put their kids in that situation, or you don't want to invite somebody, a neighbor, over to dinner not knowing what they did.
Exactly. But here's the kicker. My mother, whom is divorced from my father, thank God, she's a hardcore Trump supporter and thinks it's entirely different. It's like trying to prove that immunization and vaccinations are the cause of autism when that's not the case. It's been scientifically proven.
Of course.
That, you know, that it never happened. She thought this because, like, according to her, when I was, I can't believe I'm sharing this, when I was a year old, I was toilet trained, I could speak clearly, but once I got this vaccine, I just fell apart. And I don't think that's true.
It's not true. It's not true. It's a lie, my friend. It's a complete and total lie, and I appreciate your call, and I will always support people like you. It's not true. It's a conspiracy theory put forth by Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I appreciate your call. All right, we have a MAGA caller that's calling in. I always love my MAGA callers. Let's go to Eddie. Eddie is next up on PTL. Hello, Eddie.
What's up, Lion Brian?
All right, so we're off to a wonderful start once again. What did I lie about, Eddie? What did I lie about? We always go through this, Eddie. I wish we could just start off a little bit better, Eddie. So what did I lie about, Eddie?
If a police officer orders you out of the car, you must get out of the car.
Okay, not if it's just a traffic citation. That is absolutely
Yeah,
not true.
yeah,
No. Okay, so let me.
Google is your friend.
Okay, so if I'm pulled over and the officer says I was going 5 to 6 miles over the speed limit, I have to get out of the car. With
If
no
an officer ordered you to get out of the car, you have to get out of the
with
car.
no articulation of another crime that he believes was committed.
No, you have to get out of the car.
Listen to what I'm saying. You're not listening, Eddie. Listen to what I'm saying. If he has no reasonable and articulable, suspicion that I've committed any other crime other than a speeding ticket, that is wrong, Eddie. You don't know what you're talking about. An officer.
You don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, so I'll make a bet with you right now. You're telling me that on Eddie, I'll make a bet with you right now. We don't know your last name, so you probably won't pay me. I know the laws. You still don't.
I'll donate to your fund that you beg every day.
Okay, never beg for anybody, Eddie. Never beg at all. In fact, I make more money in 1 week on YouTube than you'll make in a year. Eddie, what do you do for work, by the way?
Oh,
tell me, what do you do for work?
That's why everybody in this town calls you empty pockets.
I don't know what you're talking about, Eddie. I live a very comfortable, nice life. Why don't you tell us a little bit about you, Eddie, since you want to get personal with me? What do you do for work, Eddie? Tell us your last name. Is your name even Eddie?
Correct you every day.
No. Eddie, let's be serious now because you like to criticize other people. You see, I get to wake up in the morning and do what I love to do every day and make a nice, fine living doing so. Tell us what you do for a living, Eddie. Does it make you feel better to try to insult other people that are more successful than you? You're the one listening to my radio show right now. You're the one that listens to my radio show, and you're the one that calls into my show. Never been fired from one radio show my entire life, Eddie. You have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. It's something called a layoff and budget cuts, but I've never been fired. But, Eddie, I notice how you like to focus on other people. So, Eddie, we'll try this one other time. Eddie, what do you do for work? Tell us your last name. Are you a coward? Why don't you tell us what you do for work, Eddie? Tell us your last name. Answer the question. Then answer the question. Then answer the question. Why don't you tell us your last name, and why don't you tell us what you do for work? See, the reason why you want to answer that question is because you're probably embarrassed yourself. You're probably angry what you look at in the mirror every day, and you don't want to admit what you do. Well, Eddie, I hate to break this to you, my friend, but I make a very nice living waking up in the morning, doing a radio show in front of most of these great, wonderful people, except for people like you that are very hate on the inside, hateful people that are angry at themselves, and they try to be angry at others and lash at other people because they're not happy with their own lives. So, Eddie, here's my recommendation from you. I think you should get some therapy, find out where that anger comes from, and guess what? If you get pulled over by a cop, okay, then you can go ahead and get out of the car, and I hope he tases you, Eddie. I really do, because you deserve to be tased. Eddie, what do you think about that? I actually think you should be tased, Eddie, like an animal. That's the way you should be treated. I hope a police officer tases you, Eddie, multiple times. I really do, because you should be treated like a January 6th insurrectionist. You should be put in a cell for 20 years and not get a pardon. What do you think about that, Eddie? You're an insurrectionist, aren't you, Eddie? Liar! Hey, Brian, you're a liar. Brian, you're a liar. Hey, Eddie, you're a liar. You're a liar. You sound like a very intelligent person, Eddie. Great argument. Hey, Eddie, can a police officer ask for your ID at any time? Eddie, answer the question. Can a police officer ask for identification at any time? Let's have a quiz, Eddie.
You have a quiz.
No. Answer the question. I'm asking a question since you think you know the laws and what the rights are of human beings. Eddie, can a police officer walk up to anybody and ask them for ID? And do you have to provide it? Yes or no?
Because you are wrong.
You won't answer the question, Eddie. Why won't you answer my questions? Can a police officer walk up to you and demand ID? And do you have to provide it? Yes or no? For the fourth time now I'm asking.
Why don't you admit that
you won't answer the question? All right, Eddie, you have no idea what you're talking about. You're a complete imbecile and you're a waste of time. Have a nice day. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. By the way, if you're pulled over for a traffic citation, a basic misdemeanor, and the officer does not have any reasonable articulation that you've committed another crime, and he only wants, his only duty is to ask you for identification and, proof of insurance, you do not have to get out of the vehicle unless he has reasonable suspicion that there might be drugs in the car or that you've committed another crime. Then you have to get out of the car. But he has to be able to articulate reasonable suspicion that there's something else going on. If he thinks you're drunk, he needs to provide some sort of test, or if he smells drugs in the car, he thinks there might be a weapon. There's a lot of different reasons why a police officer would ask you to get out. Now, I'm not saying I wouldn't get out of the car if a police officer requested I do, because I would have nothing to hide. But you see, this guy doesn't know the law. He doesn't know the rules. He doesn't understand. It doesn't make any sense. It depends on state by state, but you have to have, and what I was getting at with the ID thing is that you don't have to provide ID to a police officer unless they can articulate some sort of reasonable suspicion that you've committed a crime. So the answer would be no there as well. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. Let's go to Brian. Brian is next up on PTL. Hey, Brian.
Hey, Brian.
What's going on, my friend? What's going on? How are you?
So, first of all, it's kind of funny how some cops have better sense of smell than dogs when it comes to, smelling marijuana in a car. But that's not even why I called. The reason why I called is I had an epiphany today. Literally just a couple minutes ago. I voted for John McCain in 2008. Why? Not because he's white and Barack Obama was black, because I liked his character. I actually voted for Barack Obama in 2012 because I thought he was doing a good job, and I liked his character. It's just, when did character stop becoming a thing? Like, it's insane.
Yeah, it is. You make a good point. You make a good point. Character is
not only that,
number one for me on how I vote.
Harris didn't even have the greatest character, but she wasn't convicted of 34 felonies.
Can I ask you a question?
Come on.
Can I ask you? We might.
Yeah.
I agree, by the way, on what you're saying there. But why do you think she didn't have really good character? I want to dissect your brain on this. Maybe something she didn't resonate with you. Tell me, why do you think she didn't have character?
No, I'm from Oakland, California. I've grown up with her as a public defender, attorney general my whole life.
Okay.
She's a great, smart, intelligent black woman, but she didn't have she had a lot of baggage, especially in California. Locking people up, not being as progressive as maybe she should have been in California.
All right, help me understand this though. What's wrong with locking people up if they're convicted and they deserve it? You know what I mean?
Right, but for little things, she locked up a lot of people for just marijuana. Honestly,
if you look at hold on, let's just discuss this. Because the people that were actually locked up, because I studied this, my friend, the people that were actually locked up for marijuana, it was a little over 30 people that were locked up on marijuana charges. And by the way, those were repeat offenders, and there were a lot of different reasons. But I think a lot of people make it sound like, with respect, that she locked up thousands of people on these little, somebody was smoking a blunt, and that's not the case. It's just not accurate. Now, I think you would agree with me that, as you said, smart, educated woman. I think, listen, nobody's perfect. It's okay for you to disagree with some of the, the way the things she ran in San Francisco. That's totally okay. But the premise of she locked up a bunch of people for marijuana, because I've talked to others about this, it's a fallacy, man. It's just not true.
I don't know, man. I live in California.
I understand that. I understand that. I understand that. I understand that, and I respect that. All I'm simply telling you is what she did in San Francisco. She did not lock away a bunch of people on marijuana charges. It's not true. When you're talking about...
No, actually, it was more what she was doing as Attorney General of California than in San Francisco. That's not even where I'm going. I voted for Kamala, by the way. I can never vote for the guy because he doesn't have character at all, or at least the worst character. I don't even know where I'm going. I just had an epiphany.
Yeah.
It's like, when did stop killing babies become anti-Semitic? You know what I mean?
I agree.
I
don't
understand.
There's a difference
where
between
society is going.
I agree with you. There's a difference between being pro-Palestine and being pro-Hamas. I agree with you.
Right. And by
the way, those people were not.
It's all about character. Can we just get back to character?
No, not when Donald Trump is president. We can't. Sadly, we can't. We can't get back to
I hope Obama runs against him in 2028. That's all I got to say. Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you. Sadly, that can't happen, but I would love it to happen. We miss Barack Obama. Boy, was he a great leader. Seth, thank you for the call, my friend. I appreciate you. I'm not saying Kamala Harris was perfect. Just the idea that she put away all these people for having a blunt is just, it's not factually accurate. And I think it's more of a right-wing talking point. I'm not saying you're doing that, but I'm saying it's more of a right-wing talking point. That's all. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Ian. Ian is next up on PTL. What's going on, Ian?
Hey, Brian, it's Ian Field. How are you?
Good. What's on your mind, man?
Yeah, you know I am the guy that sent you the long.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Too much of a long email. Sorry about that.
That's
so
okay.
I don't want to skip around. I called to talk about the Jake Tapper book real quick because I know you got other callers. I just want to go really quickly, about what I just heard.
Sure.
Kamala Harris. In my mind, Kamala Harris is a very smart, good person. I do have a degree in criminal justice from Cal State University, Los Angeles. She was the district attorney of San Francisco, but she was doing her job, and she's got a lot of strength. She's a good person, so let's just end that. So let's go to Jake Tapper. I've been listening to CNN for years, and I like CNN. They're not perfect, but I like them. And I'm going to ask you a question at the end of this that I want you to answer that I could probably Google. But I like most of the anchors on CNN. I've never really liked Jake Tapper that much. There's something about him that's kind of always made me feel a little uncomfortable. But I was watching CNN 2 days ago, and he plugged his book probably 150 times in this 1 hour they had a show. And I'm thinking to myself, this is almost becoming an infomercial for his book. And I think that if you are CNN and you have an anchor that wrote a book, let them plug it once at the end of the show. But don't let them plug it throughout their whole thing for an hour every 10 minutes.
Agreed.
And what I wanted to ask you, because I do like Abby Phillips. I know that you don't like her as much as I do. I do like Laura Coates. I like everybody there. I know that you're friends with Don Lemon. I miss him. And I want to ask you, which I could Google, but I'm going to ask you, why did they get rid of Don Lemon? Because he's a great guy. What happened?
Well, it's a long story, but I'll tell you, Ian. By the way, it's good to hear from you, and I hope you have a great weekend. There's multiple reasons for that. And by the way, they paid Don Lemon a lot of money. He got paid a lot of money when he got out of there. There were a couple reasons. First of all, I think Don Lemon was, and I don't speak for him, but I think he was getting a little bit frustrated with what he couldn't do there. I think he was getting frustrated with leadership at CNN. They kept moving him around. They put him on a morning show with two people that did not mesh with his personality. So I thought that was something else that was bothering him a lot. I think for them, it was just time for a change, and I think it was a mutual thing. And Don Lemon got paid a lot of money. He had a nice run at CNN. So I think there were multiple reasons for that. Don's a great guy, and I do consider him a friend. His sister just passed away a few weeks ago, so hopefully we can all send regards to D. Lemon for that. I want to go back quickly to the officer discussion that we were just having. So I have it literally right in front of me here, and this is most common in just about every state in this country, if not all of them. The first reason why an officer can ask you to get out of the car is for safety purposes, because he feels like he could be in some sort of danger, like if he sees that somebody could have a weapon, or he sees that somebody's behaving erratically. That is a legitimate ask for somebody to get out of the car. That's a reason, right? Another reason is a sobriety check. If somebody thinks that you're drunk, if a cop thinks that you're drunk for whatever reason, smells the breath, your eyes, you have to get out of the car. And as I said earlier, reasonable suspicion of probable cause of a crime. However, here's where I'm right. A police officer, just like on the street, when I said, can any police officer just ask you for ID and you have to provide it? The answer is no. The officer has to provide reasonable suspicion of probable cause of a crime. A cop just can't pull somebody over for no reason and ask you to get out of the car. That is an unlawful command. That was the point that I was trying to make. And it's very important for people to know their rights. Now, if you have done something wrong and the cop has evidence or proof of that, then the officer can ask you to get out of the car, and then you got to get out of the car. And then if you don't get out of the car, well, they can make you get out of the car. The point that I was trying to make, and maybe some of you misconstrued it, is an officer can't just tell you to do something just for the sake of doing it. He has to have a reason for it, right? You can't just pull somebody over because of the color of their skin. You can't just pull somebody over because of their car. You can't just pull somebody over because you think that they might be somebody you know that you don't like, maybe somebody that your wife slept with. You get the point I'm trying to make. There has to be a reason why a cop pulls you over. and that being the reason why they would ask you to get out of the car. That's the point I was trying to make to all of you, and maybe somehow it was misconstrued. No, a random cop just can't come up to you and ask you for ID unless he has some sort of reasonable articulation that you've committed a crime. That was the point I was trying to make, and I think it was lost with the MAGA caller who I had on the line. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Jarvis. Jarvis is next up on PTL. Hey, Jarvis, what's going on?
What's going on, Brian, man? Congrats on 100,000. You took the words right out of my mouth, literally, because the problem is that cops can ask you to do something, and they can also demand you to do something.
Right.
Now, if they ask you to do something and you refuse to do it, then it's like, well, you asked me to do it, but if they demand you to do it, they have to have a reason to do it.
Exactly.
They can't just go, like you said, they can't just go around demanding stuff. And it's funny that you have to educate these MAGAs on their constitutional rights, the rights that they say that was always being attacked and always being like the First Amendment, free speech on Twitter. Oh, I have the right to do X, Y, and Z. But they allow cops to violate their rights daily. Daily. They don't even know it.
You said it yourself. So
it.
you just said it yourself, Jarvis. They talk about the Constitution and they talk about I have the right to do blah, 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 yet they don't even know what their rights are. All I'm trying to do, and you understand this, all I'm trying to do is educate people. A cop just can't ask for your ID unless they have reasonable suspicion and they can articulate that they believe you've committed a crime. A cop can't just pull you over for no reason. Now, if a cop pulls you over for a reason and you broke the law, then the cop can ask you to get out of the car. Maybe that was misconstrued in what I was trying to say. The only point that I was trying to make was a cop can't pull you over for no reason and ask you to get out of the car. That's not how our laws work. You have to know your rights.
Right. And one more thing, I just want to say this. You need to hop on the PBD podcast. You need to find a way to get on there because those guys are running rampant. They are saying so many things on that podcast.
Interesting you say that because I was on Pierce.
You need to hop on.
I was on Pierce Morgan with Vinny last month. And I called him Jersey Shore, and he popped a vein. And then I spoke to who's the guy who runs the PPD? Who's the lead guy? Because I was talking to him.
Patrick McDavid.
So me and Patrick McDavid were talking on social media back and forth, and they were going to allow me to do the show, but I would have had to have gone in studio. And I said, no, I can't travel over there. I can't do that right now. Why can't we do it virtually? They didn't want to do it virtually. There's a little inside information for you. They were talking to me after I had my, I'm not going to say blow up. I was pretty calm. I just called him Jersey Shore, and he went nuts on me. And I said, me and Vinny should go on your show and go at it, and he got back to me. He said, let's do it. You're welcome in. When are you going to be in town? And I said, well, not anytime soon. I'm in Las Vegas. So, go figure. They didn't want to do it virtually. They want to do it in studio.
Please do, man.
Yeah.
Please do. Vinny he comes with no facts.
Aren't they in Florida? Aren't they in Florida?
Yeah. They are in Florida.
Yeah, so they invited me to do the show. And they said, when I'm in Florida, come on. So if I ever do go to Florida, I will do that show. They did invite me to come on with Vinny there. And I was probably going to wear like a Jersey Shore shirt or something when I go in there just to really. That guy's a nut job, by the way. He's an absolute nut. He's unhinged.
They don't want guys like you on there.
No,
they don't want guys like you on there.
No,
they want
don't.
to keep just saying stuff.
You're right.
Saying falsehoods. So
listen,
thank you, brother.
I will go on there if I can. Thank you, sir. I appreciate your call. 702-221-7283, the number to call. Lady D says Republicans slipped a provision into passed bill that says judges cannot hold the administration in contempt for violating their court's orders. You're right about that, Lady D, and I appreciate your support. Reaver says 1977 Pennsylvania MIMS unanimously ruled that police officers can order drivers to get out. Yes, I understand that, but I think you also understand my point, which was pretty obvious, which was a cop can't pull you over for no reason. Right? You have to have broken the law. And if a cop believes that you broke the law, then the cop can ask you to get out. The only point that I was trying to make is some people don't know their rights. A cop can't just tell you, get out of the car if you haven't done anything wrong or he doesn't have any reasonable suspicion that you've broken the law. That was the only point that I was trying to make. Kathy says, Brian, I think you need to send Eddie one of your hats to add to his shrine for you in his bedroom. That's actually very Kathy, I needed a laugh today. It's been a rough morning for me. I needed a laugh, so I appreciate that. 702-221-7283, the number to call. Lady D also says American real estate investment co-deals and farmland. Primary investor is VP J.D. Vance. They're buying up local foreclosure farms from Trump tariffs and Doge, then sell the land to foreigners. Well, Lady D, that would not surprise me at all. Number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation is 702-221-7283. Let's go to Mark. Mark is next up on PTL. Hi, Mark.
Hey, Brian. Happy Friday to you.
Hey, happy Friday.
My younger brother, was a cop on the Bell Parkway in Brooklyn, New York, Highway Patrol. And you are legally right, but let me explain why a cop can order you out of the vehicle anytime without a reason. And it's an unlawful order. But if you don't obey that unlawful order at the time, you're going to be dragged out. Your car's going to be towed. You're going to go to court, and eventually the charges will be dropped.
And you can sue the law, and you can sue the you can sue the police department,
and then write a civilian complaint.
Right. Right.
But probably nothing's going to happen to the cop.
Hey, Mark.
Thing.
Let me be very clear, Mark. I'm not telling people to do that. I
understand,
but
you're right.
I'm telling people to comply. However, I also understand there is a population in our society that is very scared of law enforcement. Listen, I'm pro-police. I think most police officers are heroes and great people. All I'm simply saying is, in general, people need to know their rights. In general, a police officer cannot pull you over for no reason. And I see some people on the chat saying, well, why would they pull you over? There are some situations where officers pull you over for no reason. And in that situation, they cannot it's not a lawful order to ask you to get out of the car. That's all. That's the only point I was trying to make.
It's not lawful, but they can, and just write up a complaint or whatever.
Exactly.
But I want to talk about this idiot you had on yesterday, David Pollack.
David Pollack,
real quick. Yeah, I want to tell him real quick. If he's listening, I hope you're listening, because you don't know jack on immigration law. He mentioned that there's different levels of due process on immigration. No, there is not. There's only one level. And if there's an immigration problem of deportation or anything like that, you have a right to see a judge. That's the due process. You have a right to see a judge.
Exactly.
And state your case. So there's no different levels, David. Know the law before you open your damn mouth.
Well, he doesn't know the law.
Last thing,
yeah, you're right.
He doesn't know the law. Now, the last thing I would like to mention is that, remember in 2009, Bush just got out of office and he left Obama with the housing crisis and all that?
I do. Yep.
Well, this is brewing again, and I'm going to explain. In this big, beautiful bill, there's a $500 billion cut in Medicare and a $500 billion cut in Medicaid.
Mm-hmm.
And the majority of these cuts don't take effect until 2029. And guess who's going to get blamed for all of that? The next sitting president, if there is an election.
There you go.
It's happening all over again, just like when they all blamed Obama for the horrible economy, but it was Bush who did the damage. It's Trump who's going to do the damage, and they're going to blame the next president.
There you
That's
go.
all I wanted to
I'm
say,
with you,
Brian,
Mark. I hope
thanks
you have
for the airtime, bro.
Absolutely. Have a good weekend, Mark. Yeah, absolutely. If you're just joining us, by the way, we have a lot to uncover as we continue on a Friday. There's a lot that's happened throughout the week. And I started off today talking a little bit about how Donald, and we had Joe Walsh on earlier, talking about how when the tough get tougher, Donald Trump decides to go on vacation and play golf. That's right. He left the White House this afternoon, went to his Trump National Golf Club in Bedminster, New Jersey, where he's expected to spend the weekend. Absolutely ridiculous. Roxy, thank you so much for your donation. We appreciate you. Says, wish Leonard was there or could call in. He would know. Yeah, well, Roxy, you're right. And we can talk to Leonard a little bit more, certainly about that. But the law is pretty simple, right? Obviously, a police officer can ask you to get out of the car if he feels like he has reasonable suspicion that you've broken the law in any way, shape, or form. But the point that I was trying to make is you have to know your rights. And you can't just ask somebody to get out of a vehicle or tell somebody to get out of a vehicle when they haven't done anything wrong. That was the point that certainly I was trying to make here. And I get very upset with the racial divide, and I guess this is opening up another can of worms that maybe I shouldn't open up. But I did want to talk about this today real quickly before we take some more phone calls. So I was listening to a radio show, don't ask me why, yesterday, and just a complete moronic human being that sadly at one point in my radio career I had to work with said that somebody got the MVP of the NBA because they're black. And then I heard Clay Travis this morning talking about Caitlin Clark, about how she's being mistreated so badly because she's white. By the way, there's a lot of other white players in the WNBA as well. Is it predominantly black? Yes. And then he tried to compare the sport of basketball to tennis and golf and saying, well, look at how wonderful Tiger Woods was treated. Look at how wonderful the Venus Williams sisters were treated, when the Williams sisters talked about how they were looked at differently when they were younger because they're black in a country club sport. Tiger Woods did talk about it, and his father talked about it at great length about what it was like going on prestigious golf courses as a black person. And Clay Travis is obviously a complete imbecile, and he doesn't know. I don't truly believe that the reason why Caitlin Clark at times is treated differently is because she's white. I think it's just because she's really good. And I shouldn't say stolen, she's taken a lot of the popularity for good reason. She's a great player. She's exciting to watch. And I think there are some players that are very jealous of that. And I don't think they're jealous of it because she's white. I think they're jealous of it because she's really good. And she's done a lot for the WNBA. She's done a lot for basketball in general. She's done a lot for sports in general. But when I listen to these right-wing idiots and people on social media attacking black people left and right in the world of sports in this situation because Caitlin Clark's white, and it just so happens that some of the players, some, not all, some of the players that are maybe giving Caitlin Clark a hard time happen to be black and making it a culture war and a race war between white and black people. I think it's the right-wingers that are simply doing that. They're doing the same thing with Carmelo Anthony. The situation that took place where stabbing. Listen, he was charged with murder. Very serious charges. But he could be found innocent. It could have been self-defense. I don't know. I wasn't there. I haven't seen all the evidence. But all the right-wingers out there are saying, why are people donating to Carmelo Anthony? When I make the argument, why are people donating to a white mother who happens to be a racist who called a 5-year-old child the N-word? Two completely different circumstances. We know that woman is a racist turd and she shouldn't be rewarded for it. We don't know whether Carmelo Anthony is a murderer or not. Now, if Carmelo Anthony is convicted of murder, anybody after that who donates money to him, I would call them despicable. Right now, I'm holding judgment because we do not know what happened. Innocent until proven guilty. Let's see what happens in a court of law. That's my feelings right now on that case. I don't know. I wasn't there. They're very serious charges. It's very sad. We know that one person lost their life, a very young person. But if it's found that it was self-defense, then guess what? I'm not going to feel bad for the person that lost their life. So that's how I feel about what's going on in America right now. And racism is real. It's here. Caitlin Clark is making a lot of money. She deserves it. She's a great player. I don't feel sorry for her if once in a while somebody makes an off-color remark about her, or if once in a while somebody gives her a hard foul. Guess what? That's part of being a professional basketball player. I don't feel bad for Caitlin Clark at all. She seems like an extremely intelligent young lady. She seems to always says the right things. She seems to have a lot of class, and she's great for the sport of basketball. Period. Yeah, for people out there that are jealous of her, get over it, right? But that's part of sports. That's going to happen. I'm not sure, and I don't think that has anything to do with the color of her skin. Call me crazy for that. That's how I feel, and, I don't know how you guys feel about that. But opening up the phone lines at 702-221-7283. Again, that number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you would like to be a part of the conversation. And what we are going to do right now is we are going to take a quick break, and we will take some phone calls on the other side. So again, that number, 702-221-7283. We want to thank the official gaming bar of the PTL radio show, which is Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones, and it is home of the $20 ribeye steak. They haven't upped the price in over 8 years. Comes with a side and vegetables. You will love it. Jackson's Bar and Grill, my favorite place to go and play and have a good time. Brian Sliplock and the gang will do a great job in taking care of you over there, and tell them that I sent you at Jackson's Bar and Grill. We will take a quick break. We will take some calls on the other side. Do you think I'm wrong on this? Do you think Caitlin Clark is being treated the way she's treated because she's white? Or maybe do you agree with me and think that she's being treated maybe at times the way she's being treated because she's just really good, and maybe there are some players out there that are a little bit jealous, and I'm not defending that either. Your thoughts on that when we come back. Again, 702-221-7283. Your thoughts on Caitlin Clark and the right-wingers starting to blame black people for the way Caitlin Clark is being treated. We'll be right back right after this. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York-style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and fees. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
Have you ever dreamed of having your own radio show or a podcast, but just didn't think it was possible? Well, dreams can come true. Radio U. Radio U is a 5-day course that'll teach you how to acquire your dream show. We'll teach you how to host, how to write commercial, how to interview, how to market, how to write a contract, and most importantly, how to monetize your dream radio show. You'll learn from some of the best in the business with over 75 years in broadcast experience. You'll learn from people like me. And the best part? Every single student will be live on the radio as part of the class. Plus, one student from each class will get their very own radio show. You'll be live on the air right here in Las Vegas. Radio U. The 5-day course is being offered at $699. For more information, give Radio U a call. 702-763-5024. That's 702-763-5024. Or check them out at radioyou101.com.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Friday. A little programming note for you. We're going to be off on Monday because of the holiday. Nice little 3-day weekend. I can tell you, I can't remember the last time I probably needed a 3-day, at least been a couple years since I needed a 3-day weekend. I definitely need a 3-day weekend for a lot of different reasons, but I'm glad that I got one. And, covering Donald Trump every day can be a little mentally exhausting every day, as Ron Filipkowski joined us this week, and he admitted that. We just had former presidential candidate Joe Walsh on the show today. He admitted that. Really, everybody that I talk to, even people on the right that cover the Trump administration every day, will admit that. All right, so the number to call, 702-221-7283. My argument is that I don't think Caitlin Clark, if you don't know who Caitlin Clark is, and that's what we're talking about right now. If you don't know who Caitlin Clark is a star in the WNBA. Last year was her rookie season. I will pat myself on the back and brag and name drop. I was sitting on the court with my friend Vivica A. Fox, who's awesome because she's a big Caitlin Clark fan. And I got the chance to meet Caitlin Clark with Vivica because I was with Vivica. And she's a really nice young lady, and she's fun to watch. Okay. I'm not sure, and I don't think she's being sometimes treated unfairly because of the color of her skin. I think it's just because she's really good. And when you're the GOAT, right? I think LeBron James gets a lot of unfair criticism because he's so good, and he's been so good for such a long period of time. Larry Bird got that. Michael Jordan got that. At times, they were physically damaged and fouled really hard because they were the best or one of the best. I think it's the same with Caitlin Clark, and MAGA Republicans want to make it sound like Clay Travis today, making it sound like all these people are treating her unfairly because they're black. I mean, I just think it's ridiculous. But listen, shouldn't be surprised from a guy like Clay Travis, who's a racist pig, right? I mean, I'm not going to say the late great, the late scumbag Rush Limbaugh would have said the exact same thing, would have attacked black people for going after Caitlin Clark. But if it's white people that stormed the Capitol on January 6th and beat police officers with their own batons, which is worse than anything that any basketball player has done to Caitlin Clark, they're called hostages and patriots. 702-221-7283, the number to call. Who do we got? We got Frank, who's on the line. Hey, Frank, what's going on?
Hey, Brian, how you doing?
Good. What's on your mind?
I wanted to say I loved Cory Booker for years now, but until he did that Kutzer's father for the ambassador, I'm really disappointed.
Yeah,
Really.
as I said earlier, Frank, in the call, and thank you for calling in. As I said earlier, I will never support Cory Booker again. I'm with you. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Ethan. Ethan is next up on PTL. Hey, Ethan, what's going on?
Hello, Brian. How are you doing today?
Good. What's on your mind, Ethan?
So I kind of wanted to address this Caitlin Clark point that you were talking about.
Sure.
I kind of agree with you, Brian. I think because of how popular she is and how, like, she took over the WNBA and people started watching because of her, and I think people happen to be jealous, and I think the right-wing media likes to typically try to brainwash the other people thinking that it's like a race issue. It's definitely not a race issue. I think just Caitlin Clark is really, really talented.
Agree. Yeah, and that's what they're trying to. And it's interesting because these MAGA turds always are the ones that are saying that liberals and lefties are the ones that are making it a race issue when they're doing the exact same thing. Now, listen, if somebody in the WNBA called her a cracker, or if somebody in the WNBA attacked her because of the color of her skin, then obviously that would be different. Correct me if I'm wrong. Not one player has done that. Not one player has made a statement. Not one player.
There's probably a little bit of controversy right now recently because there was a big foul that Angel Reese.
Yeah, but it wasn't though.
Caitlin Clark. It was like a flagrant thing.
Yeah, but come on. Listen, this is something that a lot of people might not know about me. I was a high school basketball official, and I actually officiated some Division III college for a little bit, and I've also done some semi-pro ball when they were scrimmaging here during the summer league. I have a lot of experience when it comes to officiating, and I'm going to tell you right now that was not a flagrant foul. Was it?
No, I agree with you. I think it was just ridiculous the way Angel Reese reacted.
Angel Reese is an idiot. Let me be very clear, and this has nothing to do with Angel Reese's the color of her skin or anything. Angel Reese is an idiot. She acts like an 8-year-old. She's an attention, I won't say the other word. She craves attention. She is not as good as everybody makes her out to be, okay? She's extremely tall. She can rebound. She's not a good offensive player. She's not 10% of the player, okay, in my opinion, that Caitlin Clark is. She plays a big 4 and 5 in the WNBA, and she can rebound at times. But the fact of the matter is that the way that she got up because she couldn't handle the fact that Caitlin Clark fouled her, and it wasn't a push, it wasn't a shove, and 2 seconds earlier, it was her that shoved another player in the back when she was trying to get the rebound.
Right, exactly. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I'm black myself. I'm black 21-year-old, and so the way I see it, I think she's just overreacting. She's trying to make it something that it's not, and I don't like when we do that type of things because, we just got to accept Caitlin.
And here's the part that's really unfortunate about this whole thing, and I think you'll agree with me on this one. Caitlin Clark is the reason why some of these teams are now flying in private jets. Caitlin Clark is the reason why the ratings are so high. Trust me when I say 4 million people are not going to tune in to watch Angel Reese make a layup. Okay, I'm sorry, because that's what she does. Okay, 4 million people are not going to tune in to watch the Liberty play unless, in my personal opinion, Caitlin Clark made the WNBA as more popular. And by the way, the WNBA still lost money last year. So I'm not going to sit here and lie and say that the WNBA is making boatloads of money. It's doing much better now than it was, and that's because of Caitlin Clark. But this is a league that has lost money 27 years in a row. So, and by the way, if they make money, I salute them. But guess what? Angel Reese doesn't deserve, in my personal opinion, to make any more money than anybody else. The league loses money, and people are not tuning in to watch Angel Reese. They're tuning in to watch Caitlin Clark.
Exactly, and when the Aces come to town, I'm looking to see whenever they're playing Caitlin Clark.
Guess what?
That's when I tune in the most.
I plan on sitting courtside for that game with a special somebody. So expect me to be there. Expect me to be there.
Awesome, man. Awesome.
Yeah. Hey, I appreciate you, my friend. Thanks for calling in. Great call.
Thank you. You have a good one.
You got it. 702-221-7283, the number to call. Let's go to Jonathan. Jonathan is next up on PTL. Hey, Jonathan, what's going on?
Good afternoon, Brian. I just want to speak on the fact of Caitlin Clark. I feel like she's a star. Like, she's really good at basketball.
Sure.
I do feel like they're being really racist to her, even though they say blacks can be racist. I really have different opinions about that.
Why do you think that? Why do you say that you think it's race? Explain that to me.
Because NBA is, there's mostly black people in the NBA and all that. They're really athletic, not just in NBA, but in the NFL.
Yeah.
Now that they see somebody with a different color, they don't really like it. I feel like they think that they're taking that away from them, even though.
You think so because of the color of her skin? Okay, well, let me ask you a question. Why didn't they do that with Sue Bird then? Now, I understand that you could make the argument that maybe Sue Bird isn't as good of a player as Caitlin Clark, but Sue Bird, a Hall of Fame player, very white, went to the University of Connecticut when I was in college. Nice girl, woman now. I met her when she was 18, 19 years old. Sue Bird happens to be white. So why didn't they do the same thing to Sue Bird? Because Sue Bird was an all-star like just about almost every year, if I recall, and she's a Hall of Famer. Why didn't they do the same thing to Sue Bird then? If they're doing it because they're white, why didn't they do it to Sue Bird?
Sue Bird, that's I honestly feel because he's a man and he has a little bit more how do I explain this?
Wait, you didn't say
he wasn't too much of a pushover.
Wait.
Did
I get you? Did you say? Okay, go. Maybe I misheard her. I thought you said she was a man. I'm like, that's definitely not true. But I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, he was a man. Bird, I'm a huge fan of Bird.
Wait. Okay, you're talking about Larry Bird. Okay, I'm sorry. This is actually very funny, and it's okay, my friend. I'm not talking about Larry Bird, who is, by the way, my favorite basketball player of all time. And yes, you are right, sir. That is a man. I'm talking about Sue Bird. Sue Bird.
Oh, Sue Bird.
When you kept calling Sue Bird a man, I'm like, what is this? This guy sounds like a MAGA. That's okay.
I heard Bird, and I just automatically thought about Larry Bird.
For a second there, my friend, I thought I was getting really worried about you, and I thought you were going to start trashing transgenders and the LGBT community.
No.
And then I said, this guy doesn't sound like a MAGA supporter. He just misheard me. No, not Larry Bird. Sue Bird. Sue Bird.
Sue Bird, yeah.
Okay.
I just feel like Caitlin Clark has a more. She's. I don't know how to explain it, but I really do feel like they're mistreating her.
Okay, I agree. At times they are. I agree with you, but I'm trying still to understand because I think we disagree on this, and that's okay. I want to get your thoughts on this. Why do you say it must be because she's white, though? You think that black people are resenting her some in the WNBA? Because she's white? Because
I don't think.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't think black people. I just think black women in the WNBA.
Yeah.
Feel like they. I don't see the. They're really mistreating her, and it's like, well, why?
What's the worst thing?
She's
Okay,
really
help me
good
out.
player.
Help me out. What's the worst thing they've done to her? Give me the worst thing.
They follow her all the time.
They follow her all the time. Did they not?
All the time.
Did they not follow Michael Jordan all the time? Did they not follow Larry Bird all the time? Did they not follow Wilt Chamberlain and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar all the time? They do it in the NBA right now. Guess what? Make your free throws if they follow you all the time. Punish the other team if they follow you. Have they injured Caitlin Clark? Not to my knowledge, they haven't injured her. Now, if somebody's trying to put her in the hospital, obviously that's a line you don't cross. But what's wrong with a hard fall? Like even she's not complaining about it. So the worst thing that you think they've done to her is a hard fall that isn't even a flagrant fall. You think that's the worst thing they did to her?
Not really. They're trying to give Amber Rose the MVP most valuable player, and I just don't feel like she's the most valuable player. She can't make a layup. She can't.
I got some news for you on fast breaks. There's a lot of WNBA players that miss layups. Doesn't make them bad people, and it doesn't have anything to do with the color of skin. But hey, I appreciate you, my friend. It's okay to disagree. As long as we could have a respectful conversation. I just respectfully disagree with you. If the worst thing a WNBA player does is a hard foul, you want to talk about hard fouls, go back to the days of Bill Laimbeer when he would put his feet underneath Larry Bird to try to twist his ankle. Now that's unfair, and that shouldn't be. But come on, if it's a hard foul, who cares? If that's the worst thing a WNBA player does to Caitlin Clark, she's going to be just fine. She's pretty tough. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. Let's go to Kurt. Kurt is next up on PTL. Hey, Kurt, what's going on?
Hey, I live in Iowa, and I'm about 15 miles from the University of Iowa where she played. So I've watched her career, from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it has anything to do with race. I think it's just they're jealous.
Agree.
Simply jealous of her ability.
Yeah, so you agree with me.
Look at the stats.
Yep.
She buries everybody.
She does.
And the thing about Caitlin, now, is I want to make a point, is she's a good person.
Mm-hmm.
She's a class act.
Yep.
She has donated money to every cause, every town she's been in, just food banks, children's causes. She comes back to Iowa, and all these visits to children's hospitals, she was doing that the whole time she's in school here. So, she's a great player, but I think she's a class act.
So everything you said,
I just appreciate what she did.
so everything you said, I agree with. I got to spend a few minutes with her at a game last year because of who I was with, not because of who I am. And she was so sweet and so kind. And I'm going to take it a step further. Correct me if you think I'm wrong, and I'm going to turn this into politics. I believe that 90% of the people that are claiming those bad black women in the WNBA, they're so mean to Caitlyn, these are Trump supporters.
Yeah.
These are Trump supporters.
I agree.
Yeah.
They are.
Yeah. Clay
Because
Travis.
Anybody looks at this realistically, they know better.
Yeah.
The thing with Angel Reese, that goes back to college. They've hated each other since they were freshmen.
Yeah.
And it's a constant rivalry. Angel's a big baby and just tries to start stuff.
I don't think Angel Reese, I'm not going to go as far as to say she's a horrible person. She's extremely immature and she has a lot of growing up to do.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay? I'm not going to sit here and say you're a horrible person. She acts like an 8-year-old and she needs to grow up. And I don't even think she's that good. But I mean, listen, she rebounds the ball. She's tall. She's athletic. Thank you for your perspective, by the way, out of Iowa. I appreciate you. Let's go to Pam. Pam is next up on PT. I'd love to get the female perspective on this. What's up, Pam?
Hi, Brian. I was actually calling about something a little bit different. I was just wanted to know if you could clarify something for me.
Yeah.
Donnie Tudor has presidential immunity, meaning that he has both civil and criminal immunity for any official acts that he does. So when he's on his personal time, does he and he's selling favors to his crypto bros for money?
So there has to be an investigation here. Here's the thing, right? When you're the president of the United States, you can't be selling yourself for access in any way, shape, or form. In some cases, it cost $1.5 million for people to show up at this dinner last night. So when Jared Kushner went to Saudi Arabia, a couple months later, he got a $2.1 billion check from the Saudis. This needs to be investigated. It probably won't go anywhere because the Supreme Court has ruled immunity. We all know what's going on here. This is a scandal, and this is another opportunity for Donald Trump to swindle boatloads of money and for him and his family. It's not, that's exactly what this is. It has to be investigated, my dear, and I do appreciate the call. Thank you so much. 702-221-7283. Let's go to David. David is next up on PTL. Hey, David, what's going on?
Hey, Brian. I was listening to your show yesterday, and one thing I was taking note of is what good old Herb said, where he was talking about an investigation following this Jake Tapper book, and you had said that it was a money grab.
I think it is, yeah.
So, I mean, do you think that do you think he's lying now, or was he lying then?
I don't think there's any lying going on. I just think these are anonymous sources, and all it is trying to get in the tabloids like most people want to do and to sell books. That's what I think it is. Just because you have a couple anonymous sources doesn't mean that it's true. And number two, I would also say Joe Biden's old. We knew he was old a year ago, 2 years ago. I said it 4 years ago. Yeah, he's old. I've also said that you shouldn't be over the age of 70 and be able to run for office in any capacity, whether it be the president of the United States or an assembly person. But this is a book to sell, and to try to make money. Jake Tapper, they're all doing this to make money, and it's a bunch of nonsense. You can make the same argument about Donald Trump if you're going to talk about being old. Donald Trump is the guy.
But wasn't the co-author, wasn't he part of the Biden administration?
And what's your point?
I'm saying you're saying it's unfounded claims, but if there's a guy that was in there, I mean, where?
All right. So let me ask you.
So
let me ask you a question. Do you believe Donald Trump called people who are in our military suckers and losers?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
Actually,
Well, what was General Kelly doing in that situation? Who was he working for?
So
No.
That allegation first came out.
Hold on. The guy worked in Donald Trump's administration, but it doesn't apply to Donald Trump?
When that story came out, was it?
This story just came out. When did the book come out? During Joe Biden when he was in office, or after? When did it come out?
It came out after. But
Thank you. Okay, hold on. Let's try to connect the dots here, my friend. Okay, let's try to connect the dots. So a guy that worked in Joe Biden's administration comes out with a book and co-authors it after he leaves the administration, and you believe it. But when I talk to you about General Kelly, who claims that Donald Trump called brave men and women suckers and losers, You don't believe it because, quote, it came out after. Do you understand your
that's not what I
hypocrisy?
said.
You
That's
said you
not what I
don't.
said.
Then
You-
why don't you believe him? Then why don't you believe him?
Because are you going to let me finish? Because I have an exact answer for why.
Go. I'm waiting. Go.
Okay, I'll wait till you interrupt me, and then we'll yell more.
Okay,
But
stop your grievances. I'm not talking. You're wasting my time. Answer the question.
when that story came out about the suckers and losers, let's remember that it was anonymous. It was an anonymous source.
Kelly's already been on
And
the
then-
record, so that's irrelevant.
But when that story came out, was it anonymous?
Kelly's already been
Yes
on
or
the
no?
Kelly's already been on the record, so that
When it came out,
okay,
was
so
it anonymous?
I'll answer that by answering it by this way. You can keep them up there. I'll answer it this way, okay?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
now I need you to shut up, okay? You asked me to be quiet. Now it's your turn. So I'm not asking you back then whether you believe it or not. I asked you now. Your question is irrelevant. Right now, General Kelly is on the record. He's been on the record, and he said that Donald Trump called them suckers and losers. You don't believe General Kelly, but yet you believe this guy after the Biden administration. Why don't you admit you were just caught in hypocrisy? Just admit it. You're biased, okay? Admit it.
Brian, I can admit that I'm biased, but I'm not talking about Trump here. I'm saying I think
I am
I think
trying
this is
to.
important to all
I think
Americans.
I agree with you. I
This
think
is
it's
important to all Americans.
I agree.
You can't
Okay.
just shift it to
So-
old man bad.
Got you. Okay, so now that we agree that you're biased and you're a hypocrite, now let's go to the actual.
And you are too. You're yelling at me the second I asked you a Tapper question.
Excuse me. I didn't yell at you. I yelled at you because you're a hypocrite and you won't admit it, and you just got caught and you're trying to come up with excuses.
But you're
All right,
doing
let's
the-
go into the details. Let's go into the details. Which physician that has actually given Joe Biden an actual physical and knows his actual medical history has been on the record? Can you name me one person with a medical background, not a staffer who's trying to sell a book? I'm assuming you're not a doctor either, and neither am I. Can you name me one credible person that's actually a doctor that can speak to what Biden was going through medically when he was president? Can you name me one person, please?
I do not have access to
There's a
those
reason.
records.
Okay,
But why are you carrying water?
Hold on. I don't carry water, sir. Okay, you carry hypocrisy. The reason why I asked that question is because somebody like you with zero medical credentials is trying to make gross assumption about an 82-year-old man's health when you have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. But you see, because you're so biased and you put your foot in your mouth, you believe a co-author of a book that at one point worked in Biden's administration, now out of the administration, but when it comes to a 4-star general who worked for Donald Trump, who says he called our brave men and women suckers and losers, you don't believe him. Sir, why don't you just admit, because you don't even have to admit it, you just exposed yourself to everybody, just like
Oh my
Lauren.
God, you're
just like
such a
Lauren.
clown.
Oh, I'm the clown. Okay, so what did I say in this conversation?
Clown.
Okay, so you can go with the ad hominem attacks, but what did I say that would make you to believe that I'm a clown? I just told you that I don't put any credibility to anybody.
You never answered my question.
Oh, I
You
never
answered my
yes,
question.
I did. I said it was a money
No,
grab,
you
and I
didn't.
gave you the reasons why. Would you like to ask it
So
again
then
and get the
hang on,
MAGA
hang on,
wax
hang
out of
on.
your ears and ask
Let's
me
get this
again?
straight. Let's get this straight.
Yeah, let's get
this
this straight. Let's get this straight. Yeah, let's get this straight that you're a hypocrite. But go ahead.
Okay, you can imitate me.
Go ahead.
You can imitate me.
You can imitate me. You can imitate. Hey, I don't trust anybody unless they're saying something bad about Joe Biden. If a 4-star general says something bad about Donald Trump, I don't believe him. Yeah, you have a lot of credibility, sir, but go ahead. Ask your stupid question. Go ahead.
What I asked you is I said, you believe it's a money grab. And with that insinuation, you're saying, you would agree with me that you're saying the allegations made in that book are mostly, if not entirely false, right?
Did I say
Would
any
you
of that?
agree with that?
What did I say any of that, or are you making another
You said it's a
assumption?
money grab. So you're,
Okay. So a book can be a money.
drawing factors that could
You're
validate.
you're making an asset of you and not me. So let me try to explain something to you.
Nice projection,
Okay.
bud.
Okay. No, I'm not projecting. I just need you to
Answer the
listen.
question.
And I need you to shut up and get the MAGA wax out of your ears, because I'll answer it for you, because you won't admit that you're a hypocrite. But let me tell you something. Just because a book might be a money grab doesn't necessarily mean everything in the book isn't true. There might be stuff in the book that's true, but here's the difference between somebody like, well, there's a lot of differences, but here's one key factor in the difference between me and you. When I see somebody in a book, or somebody that co-authors a book, somebody who might have worked in the Biden administration with zero medical credentials, I don't give that person credibility. When I see somebody that is a 4-star general That isn't talking about
The
somebody's.
claims made in
Excuse
the
me.
book, the
Excuse me.
claims
I'm not
made in
done
the
yet.
book aren't
Hey,
medical.
hey. I'm talking. That means MAGA gets to shut up now. Okay. When I see a 4-star general who did work in Trump's administration, by the way, did work in Trump. By the way, since you give so many people credibility, apparently, or one person that has no medical credentials in Joe Biden's administration, what would you say about half the people that are in Trump's administration last time around that didn't support him? What would you say about that? They don't have credibility either, right? Like Mike Pence and half of his administration. No credibility, right? None, zero.
I think Mike Pence has credibility.
Okay, what would you say about half of Donald Trump's administration that didn't support him last go around? What would you say about that?
I think that they're free to say what they want.
Oh, okay. They're free to say what they want. But when it comes to one person who co-authored a book with no medical credentials that are claiming that Joe Biden's health, I guess, was deteriorating, you want to put a lot of credence to that. But if a 4-star general worked in Donald Trump's administration and claims that Trump called suckers and losers our brave men and women in military, somehow you don't believe that at all. You are a hypocrite, and I exposed you for it. Have a nice day. And it was very, very much appreciated that you did that on this show and embarrassed yourself. Thank you very much. All right. Have we had enough fun with the callers? I mean, I love all my PTL callers, especially the special ones that call into the show that absolutely prove that they're hypocrites. Isn't it to have fun now? Can we do like 15 minutes of fun? Well, I got to be careful when I say that. Or 15 seconds of fun when it would be Donald Trump. I can't say that Stormy Daniels was having fun. Maybe Trump was. I don't know. 15 seconds of fun. All right. Anyway, I would like to introduce to you someone who is officially my life coach. I am very proud to say that. Yes. You've seen her on the Jimmy Kimmel Show. You've seen her, of course, on Dr. Phil. She is a former pastor, now turned life coach, OnlyFans model. You name it, she does it. The awesome, beautiful, and talented Nicole Mitchell joining us on the show today. Nicole, what is going on? How are you? I need some therapy after that last caller. I need some therapy.
I know. I was telling my OnlyFans, I'm like, I'm so glad I come on after this and I just bring love and happiness and tits and we can just like all feel a little bit better about ourselves.
That's why I love Nicole. She always makes me laugh. And I needed that. That is for sure. You weren't talking about Donald Trump's bosoms, I assume. Yeah, we don't want to talk about that. So we decided, Nicole and I decided that we would maybe try something a little bit different today.
Yeah.
Nicole's going to actually interview me. And by the way, Nicole can ask me anything she wants, anything at all. And I'm not promising you I'll answer it, but since my life is an open book, I probably will.
Ooh.
So Nicole, the floor is yours. Let's have a little fun on a Friday afternoon.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Can we also have your viewers, whoever tips, can ask you a question as well?
That's fair. We can play just the tip. That's fine. I'm sorry. That was a terrible joke. Go ahead, Nicole. Terrible joke, Nicole. Terrible. All right.
Okay, so for those of you watching now, if you want to ask Brian a question,
Yes.
here's your opportunity where you can tip, submit it, and we will also answer
Fair
those
enough.
because look at me.
Fair enough.
I'm just having my way with Brian. This is what we're going to do on this Friday.
Sounds good to me. Sounds good to me. All right. You got the floor, Nicole. Ask
Oh my
me
gosh. Okay. When it comes to Nicole Mitchell, I'm very sexual and I'm also very serious. So I'll probably ask you a mixture of both questions.
As long as it's PG-13.
Yes, of course.
Okay,
Yes.
cool,
So
cool,
I'll start
cool.
with a more serious question to like warm you up
Okay.
before we get a little more naughty.
Got it.
You've been doing what you've been doing for a really long time. I would
Yes.
say you're an expert in your field. You've literally been doing this for decades. And I know you know how fast life goes. What is something you want to experience, accomplish, or achieve outside of your job before you die?
Wow, that's a really good question. I don't know. Maybe one day have a family. I think that would be great. Not something I think about a lot, but certainly that's something that I would definitely like to do. Maybe getting to a point financially where I can really help a lot of people. If I get to a point where I'm really rich, which one day I hope, I can help people that are less fortunate. I would love to be in a situation to do that as well.
I love that.
Yep.
And this is a good reminder because, as a life coach, I help my clients get richer and hotter. Two things that are taboo, but I think secretly most of us want. And I love when people are able to admit out loud, I want to get richer because there is so much good you can do. So yes to you getting richer and yes to you helping so many people.
Yeah, no question. Absolutely. No
I
doubt.
love that. If you could live anywhere in the world, but it could not be Vegas, where would you live?
I'll give a couple. I mean, I'm going to say Canada because we have so many Canadian listeners. So I absolutely have to say Canada. Outside of the country, I haven't put a lot of thought into that. Maybe Italy. Italy's so beautiful.
Have you been there?
I went there once, a long time ago. Beautiful. I love it. I'll go back. I'll stay away from Russia and I'll stay away from Gaza.
Okay. Have you been to Canada?
I have. It's great. People there are great. People are nice. I love it in Canada. It's great.
Where
Yep.
have you been in Canada?
Ontario. Went to Ontario.
Okay.
Did I go anywhere? I'm trying to think. I don't remember. Ontario. I think only Ontario. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Would you be open to marrying an Italian woman or a Canadian?
I'd be opening to marry any woman who's not MAGA.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. If you're pretty, you're pretty. And I don't care where you're from. I don't. As long as you're not MAGA. Right. If Lauren Boebert came up to me, I'd be, no, thank you. You know, no, thank you. Or Kimberly Guilfoyle. Well, they're not really attractive anyway. But anyway, that's another story. Go right ahead.
Oh my God, I love you. Also, Numchuck, if you have questions, this is fun. I kind of like this
He doesn't
group
want to ask.
interrogation.
He doesn't care. Numchuck
I
doesn't.
feel like he probably knows everything about you.
He doesn't. I
Okay,
think he knows
what-
more about you than about me, but that's another story for another show. Go ahead.
Probably true. What do you do to unwind outside of work?
PG-13.
I mean, this is your show, your
No,
rules.
in all seriousness, going to a concert, going to a movie, hanging out with friends, doing what I'm doing tonight, going to dinner with a great friend, hanging out with people, going to shows, going to sporting events, traveling, going to San Diego in a few weeks, hanging out with you, things like that, are a lot of fun. So absolutely. By the way, Kathy asked me a question. Are you originally from Connecticut? Yes, I was. Yes, I am. Yes, I was. Norwich, Connecticut. I grew up in West Hartford, Connecticut. I grew up a Whalers fan and a Huskies fan, just like you. So I've never been to Chuck's, believe it or not, because back in the day I wasn't old enough to go to a bar. I believe Chuck's is a bar. But good question, Kathy. Thank you. All right, Nicole, go ahead. We got about 10 more minutes, so shoot.
Okay. How long did you live in Connecticut before you moved?
I moved here in my early 20s. I've been in Vegas for maybe 22, 23 years. I actually regret I was dating a wonderful woman at the time, and I was not ready for an extremely serious relationship. And I made excuses, and I moved out here, and that was the end of that. I know we can't have regrets in life, but I still do. Yep. That was 22 years ago. I was dating a wonderful lady who lived in Connecticut, moved out here, and then just started my life out here. Yep.
I didn't know this part of your story.
Yeah, that's part of it. Yep. I was in my early 20s, basically almost right out of college.
I mean, we are also young in our early 20s. Like there's no blame there whatsoever. Do you guys stay in touch at all?
Not recently. I mean, for a little while we did. I think she's married and with a family now, but for a little while we did.
Okay. Okay. Now, because you've lived through a lot of life experiences, there is so much more to you than I think even most of your longtime viewers know of you. And every time we hang out, I learn something new about you.
Mm-hmm.
Having navigated different relationships in your life and the regrets you have had, the wisdom you've gleaned, what is a piece of advice you'd give to someone who's looking for a relationship?
Wow. I could give good advice, but I can't take it. I would say be yourself. Don't try to be somebody else. I would say be true to who you are. Be with somebody not just because of how attractive they are. Be with somebody because they make you happy. You got to do the things in life that make you happy. Being attracted to somebody is certainly one of them. But certainly attraction is something that can grow over time too. But be yourself, be happy. And it's funny you asked that question because Shelly just asked. It's actually a very interesting question. Brian, I feel like you have been depressed lately. Is it possible due to a love life problem? I'm going to be honest and say it's a lot of stress related stuff. I have a lot of really good things going on in my life. I also have a lot of things from the past that have come back up with one situation with a lady way from my past. We're talking years and years ago that came back up. But the good thing is that because I have so many great friends like Nicole, they help get me through certain things. And but that's one of many. Listen, it's very stressful to do this show every day. I work my ass off. And I think anyone who listens to the show knows I put my heart into this every single day. It's a lot of work. So that's an issue that comes to, family, you got, that's another issue. Relationship. I'm going to say relationship from many years ago, which I talked to Nicole about. That was another issue. So I think it's a culmination, but I would never call it depression. It's stress. And I think
Yeah.
Nicole knows me. It's when you're dealing with a lot of stress, it wears on you sometimes.
Yeah.
So that's why I've taken the necessary steps to deal with stress. I'm taking some steps today to do that. Tomorrow, over the weekend, so yes, there you go, Shelly. I answered that as honestly as I possibly can. We should
I
do
love
therapy
that.
right here live on the air. We should.
Anytime. I'm down for this. It's interesting because you and I have a very public performance like in our work. Like you're a radio host. I'm an OnlyFans content creator. And like I'm live right now with you. I'm live right now on my OnlyFans. Like
Yep.
there is a lot of work that goes into being live. There's a lot of work in caring for our viewers and our audience. There's a lot of work that goes behind the scenes to make us be able to go live, that only people like you and me who do this on the regular understand the depth and intensity and intricacies of this kind of career. So I think for people who are watching Brian or anyone who has a public life, like supporting them, sharing their work, spreading the message is like one of the best things you could do for anyone who has an online performance, online career, because that is what helps us love our work, is when you are raving about it, when you leave positive comments, when you spread it to other people you love and care about. Like that means a lot to us, even though we look very positive and where we show up every day. When you guys take that extra step as a viewer and spread our work with people you love and care, that is so healing and soothing in very high stress situations. So just a
No
reminder to
question.
everyone who's watching, that makes such a difference.
No question. All right. What's next?
Oh my God, this is so good. I love these questions coming in from the viewers. Guys, thank you for coming in and asking. Like, this is an amazing opportunity to ask Brian any question, have him
Absolutely.
answer live, and not expose him, but expose him in a beautiful way, which we're all about.
Nicole's the only person that could expose me. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Nicole. I digress. Go ahead.
See,
We got
this is why I
about
love us.
five more minutes.
Camaraderie. Okay. If you were required to pick a completely new hobby and finances were not a problem, any hobby you could pick, what would you pick?
I don't think there'd be one. I think there'd be several. I'd probably play in some big poker tournaments in the World Series of Poker if I had the time to do that. I think something else I would probably do is I would probably travel, go to a lot of golf tournaments. I wouldn't go to Mar-a-Lago. That's not a golf course, but I wouldn't play on any Trump golf. I'd probably travel the world quite a bit. And a hobby, I don't know if it'd be a hobby, but just try to help people. What could I do to help other people and influence their lives with money that can get them off to a great start to what they want to do? That's probably the best way I can answer that.
We should make this a part of our Friday show, whether you want to do it once a month or every other week or
can do
every
it.
week. Like challenging people to go out and do something for the positive and then come back and report it and celebrate it on our Friday show. Like, what did you do this week that you went out of your way to help someone? Because we know at the end of the day, if everyone was a little bit kinder and a little bit more intentional, the world would be such a better place.
Sure,
So why
I
don't we
agree.
just, like, I would love to hear from people. So everyone who's listening, everyone who's watching, next Friday at our show, I'd love to hear what is something you did that you went out of your way to make the world a better place, to make a difference in someone's life, and then come here and celebrate it. So we can just be in this
Yeah.
energy of like, yeah, there's a lot going to shit. There's a lot of problems and issues in the world, but that doesn't mean it doesn't need to stop us from doing the good that we can do.
Somebody asked me, by the way, Brian, what kind of hockey player would you be? I would say probably a scorer. I probably wouldn't be an enforcer. I'd probably maybe a goaltender. I think a goalie would probably be my
Oh my God.
Yep.
I am terrified of, well, now this is going to come across bad. I am terrified of hard objects flying at me. So you know me, Brian, I like certain hard objects, but not if they're flying at me.
I do know that. Yes. Yes. All right. What's your next question? We don't have to go there. What's your next question?
Just saying. Oh my gosh. Okay. I don't know if everyone knows, or if I'm allowed to say this, but you've recently moved.
Yes.
To a beautiful, beautiful place. Like I have been there. It is gorgeous.
My own place. Yes.
His own place, everything, the grounds, the complex, the pool, everything is gorgeous there. What is one of your favorite things about the new place you have moved to?
Just freedom and the people around me, and just being able to be at a beautiful property on Las Vegas Boulevard. I'm very thankful for that. And it's great. Somebody just asked me, Brian, would you date someone like Nicole who does OnlyFans? Absolutely, 150%. That's not even something that I would even not consider. Now, there's a difference between somebody that does OnlyFans and then somebody that cheats on their boyfriend or girlfriend 24/7. That's different. Just because you do OnlyFans doesn't mean you're not going to be faithful. Now, if you're asking me about an open relationship and that sort of stuff, that's a different conversation. But yes, to answer the question, yes, 100%.
I would love to go deeper into that because
Sure.
some people, their knee-jerk reaction to that question is no way. So how are you able to say, yes, of course? Like, what advice could you give to a man who's interested in dating an OnlyFans model, but they're a little nervous about it? What would you say to them?
Well, ask yourself why. Why do you not want to date an OnlyFans model? And if the answer is, well, because I don't want them showing their body to strangers that I don't know, then I say, okay, if that's how you feel, then don't date an OnlyFans model. But if you're afraid of Brian, you know, or in general, if you're afraid of anybody, not me or anybody, if you're afraid of somebody, you think they might cheat on you because they're on OnlyFans. It's not because they're on OnlyFans. It's because you don't trust them. Paul asked, does Brian have a free OnlyFans membership to your website? Actually, I do not. I'm waiting for Nicole to give me one. My membership is her coaching. By the way, she's going to start putting her ads on this show starting next week as a life coach, because she's great, because I'm just like the Rogaine commercials. I'm also a client. So Nicole, this was a lot of fun. It goes by so fast, but I so appreciate you being here. I hope you have an awesome weekend.
Thank you.
We'll talk over the weekend, I'm sure. And I look forward to seeing you out there in California in a few weeks. Okay.
I can't wait. Have a wonderful weekend, Brian.
Thanks, Nicole. You too. This was a lot of fun. We'll do it again.
Yeah,
Take it easy.
okay.
I think maybe we need to do this every week. Yeah.
I would love that. I'm
Nicole. This
down.
was a lot of fun. And thank you for everybody watching. I appreciate all of you. I'm going to have a very relaxing and fun weekend. Sometimes life hits you hard, man. Stresses in life, but I can tell you it's not going to stop me from being here every day. I'll tell you that, because this is a way of therapy for me, and I'm so thankful. And, you know, Nicole just talked to me about the new place that I just got on Las Vegas Boulevard, which I love, and it wouldn't be because of without people like you and the success of the show. So I appreciate all of you. Please watch my YouTube page this weekend. Just because we're not doing a live show Saturday, Sunday, or Monday doesn't mean we're not going to have content up there. We're going to have content on my YouTube page for the next 3 days. I'll be back live on Tuesday, but I'm just letting you know, we will be putting up content on the YouTube page at PTL Radio Show. So please still check out my YouTube page for all the new content. I love all you guys. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend, and we will see you Tuesday. Have a great holiday weekend, everybody.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super hero, that is, because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Have you ever dreamed of having your own radio show or a podcast, but just didn't think it was possible? Well, dreams can come true. Radio U. Radio U is a 5-day course that'll teach you how to acquire your dream show. We'll teach you how to host, how to write commercial, how to interview, how to market, how to write a contract,
Let's
and most
do it, baby.
importantly,
Let's do
how to
it.
monetize your dream radio show. You'll learn from some of the best in the
Well,
business.
I need to
with
hear
over 75
everybody
years
else
in
first,
broadcast experience. You'll learn from people like me. And the best part,
Maybe go up
every
a hair.
single student will be live on the radio as part of the class. Plus,
There
one
you go.
student from each class will get their very own radio show. You'll be
Perfect.
live on the air right here in
No,
Las
perfect
Vegas.
right now.
Radio U. The 5-day course is being offered at $699. For more information, give Radio U a call. 702-763-5024.
Hold on. Let me do this
That's
first. There you go. There's no programming, just so you guys. Jay up. Jay up. Shut up, Jay. I mean, you sound fine. Open.